All right, welcome back to the PMR podcast. My name is Mitch. I'm an alcoholic addict.
What's up, guys? I'm Andrew. I'm an addict and an alcoholic. Thanks for checking back in.
We back with episode 6. I think that's 6, episode 6. And the Ravens won.
Big dub, big trust.
Big easy dub. I wish Lamar didn't throw that pick at the end, but it's all good. It was a clean game. We haven't even got to talk about that. We looked good. We play the Dolphins on Sunday, which is a little nerve-wracking. Like, that should be a good game.
I'm not worried about the Dolphins.
Yeah, first game at the bank.
Yeah,
meet me at the bank.
We got home field. All right. I'm not worried about Tua. All right.
I'm not too worried about Tua either, but I am worried about Jalen or Tyreek Hill on a slant because they can take it all the way by themselves.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah,
that's real scary.
Yeah.
But we're not here to talk about football.
No, we're not. That'd be an offshoot podcast, a Ravens podcast. But thank you for the support on the last episode. It's been getting a lot of views and positive feedback. We appreciate that. And I just checked. We have 45 subscribers on our way to 46, which is exciting.
Getting close, guys.
Appreciate you. Who's going to be number 46? I have a high five for you. And then today, I think we were just talking. We were gonna talk about rehab and kind of get into that more, but we decided that we're just gonna kind of go over what Andrew and I have both been going through daily. Not that anything's bad or good or whatever, just like speak honestly on some stuff. I know I wanted to talk about some of the step work I've been doing and work with my sponsor. Give you guys a little bit more insight into like when someone says, I'm working a program. A lot of people just take that and don't push further into that. And so I think maybe we'll share some of that. And then Andrew is working at a rehab. So that's pretty sweet. That's what I'm trying to do as well. So I was going to ask him about that and we'll just see where it goes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited about this episode because it's not as if our previous episodes have been scripted or that we've had like a rigid, schedule and flow that we wanted to follow. But we did have a lot of topics and some, whether it was the questions from the community or us telling our stories or us, staying on a topic of our first 30 days or our last 30 days, like there was a lot of storytelling and a lot of narrative. So, I'm excited for this episode because we get to share a little bit about where we're at today. It's not very abstract and it's not in the past either. Like, because I think sometimes when I'm doing this, it trips me out a little bit because it brings me back. It feels like I'm telling a story about my life, whereas like I'm still a person and I go through stuff every day. And Mitch does too. Real quick, just wanted to give a shout out to Steve-O. Bless. Love you, buddy.
Love you, Steve.
Big shout out to everybody listening. Like we want to say when we start this podcast, if anybody's struggling, if anybody wants to reach out, Mitch and I are people who do not judge. We've been through a lot ourselves. We've done a lot and we've seen a lot and we're always here. If anyone's struggling or just, is curious as to what living a life in recovery would look like. And that's what we want to do with this podcast. Right. And we say it every episode. This is a creation of, of a community of people that are young and are sober, curious or getting sober or in recovery. Like this is a place for, people to learn and to ask questions about what life is like for people like us.
Yeah, I completely agree. And real quick, we're not professionals on this shit at all. And like, please, we're saying we do really want you to reach out and we can try to help get you in contact or point you in a direction that we might have taken and offer suggestions. But, nothing that we're saying is like by the book or like, medically approved. We just speak on our experience and stuff like that. So Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I know is my experience.
Yes, sir.
I could tell you what I did, but I can't tell you the right way to do something.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
um, so Mitch, I guess like to dive into it, we've had a lot of conversations about step work privately, between you and I. And, I think it'd be kind of useful for listeners to kind of, maybe give them a little description on what it is and just check in. Like, how has that been for you? It's a process of self-discovery, in my experience. And I don't know, you're a bit further along than I am. So, I'd love to hear about what that's been like.
It's been life changing. It's been it's really like opened things up for me. Um, because I got sober in 2016 and I got a sponsor initially when I got out of rehab, and didn't want to work steps with him. I didn't want to, I was not fully into it. I thought, I spent a lot of my early recovery ego driven and thinking I can recover on my own. And that, it's funny because now I'll say anyone can recover how they recover. And I do believe that. When I said that when I was early in recovery, I was like, I can recover by myself. Watch me. And for me, that didn't work because I'm truly an alcoholic and an addict, and I needed something. I, I I couldn't recover on myself based off myself because I'm so self-will and ego driven, right? So like, if it's just me, I can't get out of my own way. You know what I mean? Like, I needed to start working a program, and the 12 steps are wild. Like, the 12 steps are copy and pasted outside of AA a lot. I mean, I've seen a lot of 12 step stuff that's sold, and life coaches, stuff like that. We had a this is actually funny. We had a when I was on the team at Denison, we had someone come in and as like a motivator for the team, and like would give us activities and stuff. He brought up this triangle, and it was literally a it was like a self-improvement triangle, and it was literally like uh an inventory that you would do on like your fears that has like been semi manipulated for more like performance based like stuff. But I remember seeing a very similar triangle like that on a whiteboard in rehab, like almost the same words and stuff like that. So the 12 steps reach far, like, and the 12 steps can be used by anyone in or out of the program.
Yeah, dude. And the thing that I would agree on too is like, I've spoken with this on this subject with people that I know in the program, and people with a lot longer length of sobriety than I have, which is its own topic. We could talk about people not liking comparing those things, lengths of sobriety and whatnot. But 12-step process, like it should be used in my opinion. I mean, they should teach a freaking class on it in high school. Like, you should go through these steps as a human being, like to figure out who you are, what your fears are, what your character defects are, what roles you've played in the wrongs you've experienced, and just overall to improve the quality of your life. Like, and I genuinely believe that, which is, I think a year ago, even sober, I would be like, I would say you're a fanatic. That's ridiculous. Why would anybody outside of AA want to do 12 steps? They don't have to. They're not as as effed up as we are. But I genuinely believe that the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous could be applied to any human being and
100%.
applied like positively to their lives.
100%. Yeah, I completely agree. So the fast forward into now, the last 6-8 months, I got a fantastic sponsor, bro. He's God. He's like a gift, bro. Like, he's very chilled out, relaxed. Like, zenned out. I like to tell him like very zenned out. He's the opposite of me. Like not the opposite of me, but little like he offers me a perspective that I would never have found by myself. I would never, he offers suggestions to me that I would never even have thought of. So I'm so grateful for him. But yeah, started actually working the steps with him. And I in the beginning I was doing this thing where I would like go and meet with him, do a step, and this is mirrored of my recovery in general. I would put my foot in, see how the water felt. Oh, it feels okay. Then I maybe like put my foot down to my ankle, and then I was like, oh, that's a little too deep, and then I wouldn't talk to him for like a week.
Right.
And then I'd come back, I'd be, get in my head and be sad and depressed and be like, what's going on with me? And then I'd go back and we'd read some of the book, do some step work, maybe get to another step. He'd give me some stuff to do. And I'd be like, oh man, like, I don't want to do that. And then, another week or 2 weeks where I don't talk to him. And we did that dance a little bit for the first like 3 months. And then in the last 3 months, I was just like, it's time to go. Like, I want to get this done. And my sobriety date is November 11th coming up. It'll be 6 years if I make it. And
God willing.
And I put out a goal last year that I wanted to finish the steps by then. And that is, I said that to my sponsor and he was like, that sounds like self-will. And I was like, God damn it. Even like a seemingly positive thing. Like, I want to finish the steps by my sobriety date. He was like, that's a little egocentric, Mitch. And I was like, God damn it. He was like, if you're supposed to get them done before your sobriety date, then you will. And I was like, fuck. But yeah, that is like a loose goal, and so I made it through steps 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And I'll let you speak on the 4 step if you want, but a little bit. I mean, that's a hard one. We don't have to, but
We will.
but I just finally made it to step 8, which is, we'll have an episode where we can go through all the steps, but in the interest of time, I just made it to step 8, which is to write down all of the people that I had harmed, which leads into step 9, which is making amends to them. So I started a tab in my notes app. I've done a lot of my step work in my notes, and then I'll write some stuff out handwritten after, but most of it's in my notes. And I have like 4 down right now. And it is a scary one. I mean, I thought the last one was pretty scary doing inventories and stuff, but there's a lot of people that come to mind. And my sponsor told me a wild story about his experience with the 8th and 9th step. And when he initially told me it, I was like, you didn't do anything wrong. I know sometimes he listens to these, so I'm not going to go too into detail, but basically he had like left a key in a door and they had gotten robbed. And I was like, how's that your fault? You just left the key in the door. And he was like, bro, like, I was messed up and I left the key in the door and like my roommates got robbed. Like, that was my fault. Like,
Yeah.
I was right. And so I was like, well, if we're considering like negligence as hurting people, I'm fucked.
Yeah, I'm fucked.
Like, that's a long list. Like, I was thinking about just like people I had directly hurt, but like if you're talking about negligence, like, but I'm excited to do it, and it is scary, and he's told me it's going to be okay, and I believe him when he says that. But that's what I've been doing in terms of step work recently.
Right. And I think we should have an episode, potentially in the future. I know we have some guests in the pipeline too, which is going to
They're backed up now.
They're waiting.
I
think it's like we got to let go of our ego, Mitch, and get some.
Yeah, this is the Mitch and Andrew show, and no one's allowed to come on.
But
I told someone, I was like, wait till we get a little footing, and we're like 6 episodes in. They're like,
yeah, I think we've got that footing now, right? Maybe it's time, but
that's funny.
Just to speak a little bit on this, like the steps. It's a little confusing as a listener if you don't really like understand like the steps.
That's true.
or what they are, what they specifically are. In summary, like the first three of them are pretty much admitting that you have a problem and that you need to turn your will and your life over to a power greater than yourself, right? And then steps, 4 through 9 are about cleaning the rot in your soul, like all of the resentments, the
Defect.
wrongdoings, the defects of character, the negligence, I suppose, the negligence.
Yeah, add that one.
Yeah, the list goes on and on, but all the things that keep us trapped in our old ways, that those 4 through 9 are about getting those on paper, sharing those with another human being, sharing those with our higher power. And 10 through 12 is really about living the principles that we've learned about how to live a healthy spiritual life, like fulfilling and living these principles out in our daily life, like for the rest of our life. And just to speak, like, this is not a process too that you just go through one time and are done. I don't believe, in my opinion. Like, my sponsors, he's got 15 years sober. And I guess to just quickly explain what a sponsor is, right, is an individual in the program,
Unpaid.
who we happen to meet, who's unpaid, and this is part of the program. Like, a big part of being in AA is service, and sponsorship is a big pillar of service. When you've got a few years, you've worked the steps, you feel as if you're on solid footing to help another alcoholic. You can offer yourself as a sponsor to like, the basic function is to help another, a newcomer work through the steps, or somebody who hasn't worked through the steps work through the steps. So that's what Mitch and I both have, is we have sponsors. And it's funny because that's how I would describe my sponsor. Like, he's zenned out. I'm like, bro, are you on Xanax? Like, how are you
he's at
so
peace.
calm all the time? Like, he's at peace. And I think when I look at it, I think it's because he's hammered the hell out of this program. Like, he's worked the steps 4 times, I think, in 15 years. Because even though we're sober, we still do things that are wrong, which I think Mitch and I can both agree upon in our own experience.
For sure.
And those 4 through 9, getting rid of that soul rot, like, those things continue to crop up even though we're sober. Like, I'm not a perfect, Lord knows, and people that know me know I'm not a perfect person day to day. I make mistakes every other minute. Like, and because of that's the purpose of cleaning out all of that shit. And I guess just to explain, like, where I'm at, right? Mitch was talking about making amends to people and making a list of things that we've done to others that we'd like to address and apologize and make amends for, right? And I'm on step 4, to make a searching and fearless moral inventory, about our past and our life. And I think a centerpiece of this is resentments. And resentments are, they're difficult because admitting that I resent somebody or have a resentment toward a person from my past, or even a person that I love, it's a breaking down of my ego. Like, and working on that resentment is an act of humility. An ego, I got a lot of ego, I only have a little humility. Like,
You have more humility than you think.
But doing that it's difficult. It goes against my nature. Like, the nature of me as an addict, like my default setting is full of self-will, unwilling to admit like that I've made a mistake or wronged anyone. Like, and instead of seeing my part in the, you know, the things that have gone to shit in my life, you know, my first response is to blame others.
Yeah.
So getting through that, you know, and writing these things down is like a direct like assault on my disease, on my, you know, that part of me that wants to think that there's, you know, I'm not to blame. And because of that, it's like, it sucks while I'm writing. It feels like I'm like pulling teeth. It's painful. It hurts my brain and my heart. And then the feeling of like weightlessness and relief and lightness is so like palpable when these things are written down, and I can finally look at it and be like, you know what, yeah, like I screwed up in the past, like, and I've these resentments, and I see with these resentments writing down, you know, I resent this person and this coach and this friend and this ex-girlfriend and this blah 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 blah. Like, my resentments stem from me. Like, I've rarely been wronged in my life. Like, and this might be different for other people, but generally people haven't really treated me poorly. Like, in general, it's been my perception of what other people have done to protect themselves from my addiction. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I've done a lot of wrong, and I've pushed a lot of people away, and because of that, I have resentment. And when I look at it and see, you know, and this is why it's valuable to have a sponsor, just like you said, like I didn't arrive at this conclusion myself. Like,
Mm.
if I had it my way, I'd still be like, fuck this person and fuck that. Like, but my sponsor's like, all right, now you've told me all about how this person has really screwed you over in life and you have a resentment towards them. Now, could you tell me your role in this whole dynamic?
I was just gonna say, bro.
And bro, it's hard, but
That part
it's
was
like,
crazy, bro.
it helps a lot. Like, it releases that like anger from me. It's very hard for me to be angry at a lot of people from my past now, because I know that it was a two-way street. Like, there wasn't just like blatant wrongdoing on their part. There was a lot of actions and attitudes and shouting matches and arguments and negligence that, like, I love to forget about.
Yeah.
Eh, you know.
I um I really want to read this out of the resentments template. I don't know if we got the same one. We most likely did. But the
Mhm.
resentments that you're saying, like the looking at your part, like when I first was introduced to the resentments, and you're closer to me than you think. Trust me. I like went from 4 to 5 to 6 to 7. Those ones are all semi all related to each other. Um, but like the template for the resentment is like you write down I'm resentful at. It could be a person, place, or thing, and then you write the cause, which is what you're resentful about that person, place, or thing, right? And you try to be semi-specific, but nothing crazy. Then you write down what it affects in you, and there's a couple things that we talk about. Then we have a prayer, and then this is the part that really tripped me out. Looking at what others had done to us is about as far as most of us get.
Mhm.
And I was like, yeah, right. And then the next part of that sentence is, now let's look at our part. And when it comes to the resentment template, right, I just pulled up a resentment I have right here that I did a while ago. My cause is like this big, right?
Mhm.
And what it affects is like this big. Then we do the prayer, and then now let's look at our part. You know, for people, my part's this big, right? You know, and I'm like, you know, the part where it's like, where was I selfish? Where was I dishonest? Where was I self-seeking? Where was I inconsiderate? Where was I at fault? And to someone that's listening might be like, man, that's really beating up on yourself. And I literally said that to my sponsor when he first showed me resentments. I'm like, this is really, woe is me and beating up on myself. The more you get into it, it's not. It is like true honesty. Like, when I first did one, I was like, damn, I'm like, so like, where was I at fault? I wasn't at fault for anything. Like, they hurt me. How could I be at fault? And after I started doing more and more inventories, he had me do 5, then he had me do 10. And then after I did 10, he had me go and then I came to him with a resentment about a person, and he was like, do a resentment.
Yeah.
While I was on like step 6 or something. And then we talked about that one. He was like, this is your best one, bro. Like, the most concise, the most honest on my end. And that feeling that you were talking about, like, dude, I had resentments towards family members and friends and stuff, little, small, big, whatever. And I came to the realization, some of this shit I made up, dude.
Oh,
And
yeah.
like, that's embarrassing to say, but like, that didn't happen, or it didn't happen how I said it did. And I was so hateful and resentful while in early recovery and while before I got sober, but like, especially in early recovery and the last couple of years, bro. Like, even with swimming, people would be like, I brought an edge to my races. I brought an edge. I walked around with this huge fucking chip, bro. Like, the biggest Doritos Cool Ranch chip you could ever find in the world. I had that on my shoulder everywhere I went. And it was like, yeah, like, I'm in recovery and like, I came through some hard shit. Don't fuck with me. Like, this bravado, puff my chest. I came through so much. If you fuck with me, I'm going to snap on you. That anger came out in competition. And I would find myself, even when I moved to LA, like last year, I didn't have a job, didn't have anything. I would just be so fucking angry, bro. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I got in a crazy fight with my mom a couple months ago, and I like took a shower after, and I had been starting to go to this meeting, starting to think about maybe working the steps. And I was like, I can't be this angry anymore, bro. I can't, like, this is going to fucking kill me. Like, I am so angry and I don't know where to put it and I don't know who to put it on. And part of doing these resentments was like, oh, fuck. Like, I can let that go.
Yeah.
Like, I let go so much anger. Some of it was valid and that's okay. Some of it wasn't valid and that's okay. Looking at my part, looking at like, our parents have different circumstances that they were raised into. They did the best they could, right? You have to take that on face value, bro. No one's going to raise you with malintent most of the time, right? And for my case, that's true.
Bro. And
yeah, you just got to let that go, bro. You have to.
And that, like, they almost say, like, and I've heard in a couple of meetings, like, being sober, and don't take this the wrong way, like, because there is value in being sober and not working a program. Like, at least you're not using. That's great. Like, but, and I know this to be true from my own experience, like, being sober but not working a program
Hell.
is work. Like, the spiritual condition is like, honestly, worse than when I was using. Like, it's I'm not gonna die. Like, I'm not using. That's terrific. But how I feel, like, because now I don't have the drugs and the alcohol to mask my emotions, to numb myself. I don't have
Exactly.
those external factors that numb my feelings, numb those resentments. Like, because that's a big part of why I used, because I thought I got, I was wronged, and and everyone was out to get me, and like, and so I used because I was full of resentments and fear and insecurities. And then I took away the drugs and the alcohol, but I didn't replace it with anything to make me feel better.
Yep.
So it's like, what the fuck? Like, what's the point of this? Like, and that's why when I hear you speak on it, I'm so impressed by, like, and it's something that, like, we don't want to carry with us in the long term, but almost like your willpower. Like, you got through your first couple years, in my opinion, hearing your story, like, on fucking willpower. Like, on like, okay, I'm gonna be sober, like, and I'm gonna do it my way. And like, and it's almost beautiful to see, because I do remember you. The more we speak, the more like tidbits of memory come back to me from college. And I didn't know you. I think we had a writing class together or something. Like, I mean, I probably didn't show up hardly at all. Like, but I the only thing that I remembered about you is like, every time I saw you, I'd be like, dude, that guy's intense. Like you walked around like, I was almost scared to speak with you, because I was like, he'll rip my goddamn head off. Like, this man looks like he's ready to go, ready to get like physically violent if somebody looks at him the wrong way, bro. Like, and I
Dude,
can almost see that, like you said, that puffing out your chest, like.
that's crazy that you noticed that, dude. Because I used to take so much joy in people telling me that you're unapproachable, you're scary, all that shit, bro. And it's embarrassing to hear that now. Um, but yeah, dude. I mean, I wanted that.
And now I look and see you, and it's like, oh, this guy is like fully not at peace. I wouldn't say like you've achieved some sort of. I mean, we're both working, right?
Yeah, working, baby.
We take a little step every day, in my opinion. But like, just to see that you are not like, you don't walk around with that chip. Like, I could see it. I didn't know. I mean, if I spoke words to you, I spoke less than 10 in our whole college career
Yeah.
together. And I can eat. Even though I didn't know you, like, I can even notice now, like, that you don't walk around with that same chip, like, and that's a miracle, like,
Thank you.
because that chip, like, and I walked around with a similar one, but in a different way, like, because I wasn't sober, like, I walked around with a feeling like, yeah, I'm gonna use the way I want to use. I know it's like a disaster, but I'm not gonna let anybody tell me that I'm doing anything wrong, because I'll show you all the boxes that I'm checking off. Like, I'm going to school, like, I was an athlete for a little while, like, and it's funny because although we were on different sides of recovery, like, I walked around with such a similar, like, kind of fuck you attitude. Like, I don't care what you come from or how much, you want to help me, or like, if you're going to get in my way and try to change or comment on anything that I'm doing, like, then I don't need you. Like, you're an immediate threat to who I am.
Yep.
Like, so I don't know. It's cool to see, like, and I think honestly, that's a direct result of these freaking steps.
Yeah, bring it all the way back, bro. It was like,
Like,
dude, because my anger thing was crazy amongst other things. But for me, the doing the resentments and then step 5, letting them go, and looking at my defects of character and praying to let my higher power take that from me. Those things made me so uncomfortable and were probably, I mean, to this point, the most rewarding. Like when I fully trusted my sponsor and fully trusted that if I just worked it how I was told to work it, it would work. Um, like I still get angry, right, or
mm,
whatever, but like that overwhelming continual anger, or my ability. This is the thing, bro. This is something I heard in a meeting last week that I'd love, is that my pause has lengthened, and I couldn't tell you how much my pause has lengthened by exactly, but my pause in between those emotions that I used to want to get into, anger, lashing out, being hurtful, saying hurtful things, my pause has lengthened where if I'm feeling that coming, my ability to recognize that and be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, let's stop. Like that has gotten longer
mm,
from doing the steps. One of the things, but
yeah, I love that you say it. Like, I don't react anymore. You know what I mean? I respond.
I
Like,
love that.
I don't react, like because my reactions, like we just talked about, were angry, violent, like poisonous reactions to people, like reactions to what people said or did that were designed to push people away. And I don't do that anymore. I have done that in sobriety, but I do that much less now. Like that pause, I take a second and I think about how I let whatever it is wash over me. Like I have a little moment with my higher power, like, and whatever that initial like dominating emotion is, like it just like taking, like you said, taking that pause just lessens it a little bit.
Yeah.
And because of that, I can respond like intelligently, or at least like in a way that's not going to burn a bridge just by the words that I'm saying. Like,
Right. Yeah.
which is something that we did for a long time, I feel like, and to bring him all the way back, bro, to rehab, which is this subject that we're not talking about today.
We will. We will. I'm
Like,
fascinated with the fact that you get to work in a rehab, bro. I mean, that's what I've been saying I wanted to do for so long, and I'm still trying to do it. But
yeah.
I would love to hear you talk about how that's been, because I feel like, well, tonight I'm going to speak at a rehab
Are you?
for the first time. Yeah, I signed up with H&I, which is
Mm-hmm.
a thing within AA, which is called hospitals and institutions, to start doing some speaking and panels. So I'm doing my first speaking one at a rehab near my house tonight
Hell
to
yeah.
some dudes that are in rehab that were our age. But that'll be my first time back in a rehab, but working in one. I want to hear
Dude,
that.
first of all, you're gonna have to tell me how that goes. And it's a really rewarding experience. And we hear it like in the halls, like, and I used to think it was bullshit, but I do believe it now, working at a treatment center. Like, whatever you say is going to help people, but just being there is going to help you a lot. Like,
Yeah, I
it may
bet.
potentially more. Like, and that's what I say about working where I work. And the only reason I don't say where I work is because I don't want to get in trouble, but maybe I will,
Yeah.
um if that gets approved. But the place I work it saved my life, right? And I have a debt to this place and the people that make this place what it is. It's an inpatient residential treatment center, and I work there now, right? And there are people my age getting sober there, and I think what it does for me, like, it helps my recovery so much because, number one, it keeps it fresh. Like, people come in there in tough shape. They're not, nobody goes to treatment on a win streak. You go to you don't go to treatment after you've, like, been doing great your whole life, and you just like, you know what, I think I'm gonna go to a treatment center now and get clean. Like, no, you go, like, treatment was my last option. My last option. Like, after I tried to do it my own way so many times, and it didn't work. So, I mean, working there now, I get to see like the desperation that people come in there with. Like,
Helps you remember that too. I bet.
oh man, like it brings me back into a place that I don't want to dwell there forever, but I need to be reminded, like, of how close I was to death, homelessness,
Mm,
jails, like real mental institutions. Like,
yeah.
I was on the verge of disaster, and I see people come in, right, and they have kids and spouses and families and full careers, and that just makes me so grateful that, like, God willing, like, I got this thing when I'm young, like, because the more people that we have involved in our life while we're still using and drinking, like, the more of a disaster it is. Like, some people, they have kids that they got to be a father or a mother to. They have it's like we take people hostage, and all of a sudden, like the whole family's wrapped up in this. This isn't just your problem. And it's not like it was just my problem, but you know what I mean? Like,
Of course.
so I get to see that. And the other thing I get to do is like, I'm going to plug Sage in my breathwork stuff right now, but like I work with a breathwork specialist. He's a trainer and a nutritionist as well. I actually got connected with him after listening to a podcast. And he's a hero of mine, a role model. He's got your length. So he's 6 years sober. So he was an athlete like you and I. And when he got sober, like similar to you and I, he's like, I don't want, like, AA is incredibly important and a big part of my life. And like being in this program is important, but I don't want to spend like my whole life just focused around, all right, go to an AA meeting, get a iced coffee, and then go sit on my couch and like, you know what I mean? Because to be honest with you, sometimes I look and I'm like, damn, like this is all of these dudes do. Like, I want to
Be
like
of service to others, bro.
right. I want to be of service to others, and I want to like I got sober so I could have a life, like a life worth living.
Amen.
And I think what he's done and cultivated, he's got it. He runs a gym in San Diego. He does a lot of holistic work. Yeah, dude, it's dope, and I want to come out there and check it out.
When you move into California,
bro, will you just I'm eventually like I know there's a lot of next indicated steps that have been made very clear to me about going there, but not yet.
Right? If you just walk out this door here and take a right, there's an open room.
Right,
I'll just leave it at that. That's all I'm gonna say.
Listen, I gotta get out of my parents' house first. For anyone wondering, yes, I do live at my parents' house.
Hey, bro.
But so he got me hooked up with this breathwork thing, right?
Yeah.
And
which I think is fucking sick, dude.
Try that. It's amazing. Like, and I got to take you. I want to take you through an actual session.
I would love to do that.
You can do that on FaceTime, but it's like I'm a drug addict. Like, I seek relief in my life. Like, I want to feel different. Like, and this has been a way for me to achieve that, like, feeling of like a different sensation, almost, I don't want to say a high. I mean, it's a natural high. That's what it is. Like, it's a natural high from oxygen. Like, and we do a lot of different practices. I've worked with him on Wim Hof, who's a famous, breathwork advocate and a crazy superhuman in a lot of ways. We do pranayama and yogic breath work and kundalini breath work, all these, ancient styles of just breathing that that if you practice mindfully for, 15 to 30 minutes a day, or even less, if you crunched for time, like, I notice a real change in my mindfulness, in my, my blood pressure, my heart rate, my focus, my sleeping patterns. Like, and so I've brought that, I got certified to teach that.
Congratulations.
Which I'm grateful for. Thank you. But I get to bring that to the treatment center. And that's like, if I had that while I was in treatment, I mean, it would have made a world of difference. Like, because it's almost like immediately these, the people that join me, and, I'm grateful that they trust me to take them through this journey every day that I'm there. They get an opportunity to like escape, like, all because treatment is a traumatic, it can be a traumatic experience along with a very rewarding and life-changing experience, but there's trauma involved. And so I get to do that, which is unbelievable. And I find myself like leading groups, and it's like, it's almost like an out of body experience sometimes. Cause it wasn't that long ago where I was on the other side of that group, like thinking, holy shit, am I an addict? Am I an addict out? Like, is this what I am? Like, is this going to be, am I going to be sober the rest of my life? Like, and I don't, I don't worry about that question anymore. I just go one day at a time. But like, it's surreal working there, dude. And I think you would thrive there because I think we both have an affinity. Like, I want to help people, and I don't know if I do help people, but that's like being of service to others is what keeps me sober largely.
Mm,
Like,
yeah. Step 12.
mm,
The
mhm.
yeah, dude. I mean, I'm I I'm like, I don't know if envious is the right word. Like I think, I mean, it is, but I'm excited for when, if I do get the opportunity to work in one, to do that, like you're doing, because I feel like some of the techs that I worked with when I was in rehab, like some things that they told me just on like downtime,
Yep.
just like I'll say it again, be a safe or a loving, safe place. Like those people in there, like I think you have to have a certain amount of sobriety time to be a tech in some rehabs. I know it was the case in the one I was at.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like that is really who you can connect to the most. So like by you being in there, bro, like you are, whether you think it or not. And I'm not trying to like give you an ego rush or whatever, but like you are really helping people in there. I want you to like really hear that. Like if I had a dude that was 25 when I was in there, even when I was 20, I would be like, God damn, this dude is fucking sick. You know what I mean? Like, and for you to be able to speak openly about like struggling with stuff too, like that's very powerful. I'm sure like you're very appreciated there. Um, I will tell you something that I fell victim to and that I was told to be careful about is that when I was early in recovery, my feeling of wanting to help others has always been there. That's been stagnant since I got sober. I want to help other people that are young, want to help, want to show that you can get sober before everything has exploded to the max. You
Mm.
don't need to get sober when you're 45 and your whole family hates you and
Right.
whatever.
Right.
That's always been a goal of mine. But like I said, didn't work a program. And even if I had been, like, you have to be careful about overextending yourself into help, 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 help,
Yep.
out, 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 because um, our recovery comes first. And that's not selfish, it's self care. Um, and so, like, some days you have to take those days off.
Mm-hmm.
Some days you're not available.
It's
Some
like
days,
today, man.
yeah, I mean, bro, exactly. I mean, I was gonna say that, but I didn't want to put you out. But like, I mean, I have those days too, bro. Like where I had to learn how to set boundaries with people because when I was at Denison, I was like, yeah, I can help you. I'm sober. Come to me. Come to me. And there, bro, there was a lot of people that came to me, and I wasn't working a program. Can you imagine that mind fuck, bro? They're coming to me asking me, like, what's AA about? What's 12 steps about? What's like, what should I do? You think I should go to rehab? Do you think I have a problem?
And you're like,
Yada yada
I
yada.
have no fucking idea.
They're like, they're like, I drink like this, I drink like that. I mean, my coach, I know he watches these videos. He referenced me to other people on the team that had problems. He would say, "Go talk to Mitch." And I appreciate him. This is not any ill will. I put myself out there. I said I can do that. I said I'm willing to do that. Right? I wasn't completely, and I'm sure I did help people in a certain way, but I did do a disservice to some people under the guise that I knew it all and that I was recovered and that I was living this great life in recovery.
Yep.
And that's just something to be wary of, is like you need to make sure that your foundation is rock solid.
Mm.
And
Mm.
I'm saying that to you, but I'm saying that to me too. Like going forward, like right now, I'm probably in the best spot I've ever been to be able to help others today, right now. That could change in an hour,
Oh
right?
yeah.
But that's just something to always keep in the back of your head. Like, am I today able to help someone else? Like, where am I? Check in with me. Where am I?
Mm.
That's a big
Mm.
thing.
Just to, as we wrap up, like, it's funny. We said we were going to do a check-in this episode, right? And we,
Yeah.
we we talked about the steps, bro. Like, which is a beautiful thing, right? But it's wild what you and I are passionate about now. Like I couldn't imagine being passionate about AA at 12 steps, like even again, like even in sobriety, like, months ago.
Yeah.
And just to speak on today, like every day is I'm sober, whatever, 16, 18, 16 months. And that's like
Congratulations on today.
yeah, thank you. And that's like whatever. That feels like a lot, like a good amount of time to me. But I have to compare that with the amount of time that I was using drugs addictively. Like that was close to a decade
Hmm.
of time. And so I need to have a little bit of forgiveness and kindness to myself. Give myself some grace. Like
Yes, you do.
today I woke up,
We
and
do.
I don't think anybody here or anybody listening thinks like that I'm a superhuman or that like, oh, he's a great example or whatever. Like, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that, I am lucky enough to do this podcast and I work at a treatment center. Like I do in a lot of ways try to live and breathe recovery. Like, and I'm very happy about that. But I still have days like where I'm out. I'm out of commission. Like for whatever reason. Like
Yep.
I'm sick. I have a disease.
Yep.
Like, and it's every day I wake up with untreated alcoholism. And I have to take steps that day to remedy that. And today I woke up and I didn't want to get out of bed. I rolled around until like 10:30, and Mitch and I, we talked about this. Like, it's the worst. Like, I'm awake at 9, but like I don't want to get up. Like I'm thinking like, this sucks. I just want to be lying in my bed and nice and warm. And then the self-pity rolls in, and then the whole day looks like a disaster. I'm like, I already missed so much of the morning. Like, fuck this, and like my brain is a
May as well
disaster.
throw the whole day away, baby.
Like I'm there. I'm ready.
Yes, sir.
I'm ready.
Throw it all away.
Like, and I'm so ready to roll in
Could
self-pity.
not relate more.
Like, and it's so sick.
It's so fun.
Like, it's so sick. Like,
Bro, you'll get that at 5 years, 6 years too, dog.
it's a disaster. And all I say is I'm grateful for Mitch and for a meeting. Like, those are the things that got me out of bed today. Because if we hadn't, decided to record today, or if I, wasn't working in AA, then like I might still be in bed and I might not be doing drugs, but like I would have a little chink in my armor. Like, like today was a fucking loss. Like, because I have a little bit of grace for myself, and because I have people like you, and this is why, like, we don't recover alone. Like, today is not a loss. Today is a win. Like, even if I didn't, like, I missed a lot of shit. I was going to do a lot of shit this morning. I didn't do a goddamn thing. Like, I laid in my bed, and it doesn't matter because I got up eventually. I talked to another alcoholic, and I'm not going to drink or do drugs. Like, God willing, rest of the day. Like, and I don't give a shit what happens on top of that. Anything that happens on top of that is icing on the cake. So, I mean, that's where I'm at today, and just goes to show, like, we can have shitty days in this life, and
we will.
It's okay. Like,
and we will. Yeah. And I appreciate you sharing that openly. Like, that's a stigma that some people might outside of recovery see and be like, they're in recovery. Whenever they're on the podcast, they speak honestly. It sounds like some stuff was hard, but generally they're all good or whatever. Or like, if you hear someone, like I saw on Tuesday, a guy went up and picked 41 years up, bro. This guy picked up 41 years. and he was talking about how today was a really hard day for him. That it was on Tuesday. How that day was a really hard day for him, and he'd just been doing Zoom meetings here and there. Kind of he's lost touch a little bit with meetings and started to think he didn't need it, stuff like that. It is an ongoing daily battle.
Mm-hmm. Every day.
And that's not to say it negative. Battle is kind of negative a little bit, but it's okay to have the days off.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a battle. It's
normal.
It's untreated alcoholism.
And it's not a day off though. It's really not, bro.
No.
You went to a meeting, you texted me and we're like, yo, let's rip it today. Right? Like, it's not a day off.
But it's funny how twisted, like.
But I know what you mean when you're saying like sitting in bed, like, bro, I'll have those days sometimes because like my work schedule is basically how I make it because I work for myself. So like, if I don't want to work, I've had days where I'll just cancel all my lessons, and I'll be like, I'm gonna mope today. I'm gonna be upset that I didn't do it. And then when yeah, I mean, I can't relate to you more, bro. Like those days are hard, and it's hard to explain that to anyone else and for them to understand and not be like, oh, you're lazy. Oh, you're taking it. Oh, you're. But when I hear you saying that to me, when you hear me saying that to you, all we have to do is nod because it's like, yeah, I know what you mean. You know what I mean? And that's very powerful for me.
And that's why we're like, we're living testaments that it's okay to have bad days, man. And we're still here.
Yes, sir.
We're still battling.
Amen.
It's good shit.
Yeah. I am excited for tonight, though.
This has been a dope episode. Like,
it has.
No real agenda. Just speaking on where we're at, man.
It speaks to like you and I have such good rapport. I love it. I love talking to you. Just easy.
Oh yeah, we could go on for another 3 hours, but I know
right.
Nobody wants that.
We put out a 3-hour video. It's getting 10 views.
Yeah, I mean, we put out an hour and 20.
And it's from all my burner YouTube accounts to inflate views. I bought 10 computers and I just rip our YouTube videos nonstop.
Bro, don't say that. Don't let them in on our secret.
No. I don't even know. Oh yeah. Tonight, bro, I will share that. I'm a little bit nervous about going into this rehab though, because I haven't been in one since I've been in one. And I talked to my sponsor and he was like, just speak honestly, bro. Just like tell him what step you're on. Tell him that you didn't do any steps in the middle of your recovery. Just be honest. He's like, as soon as you feel yourself trying to script shit, like that's disingenuous and that's not you. Yeah, so and he was like, say a prayer before you go in and ask to like speak freely. And dude, whenever I say prayer or like pray or talk to my higher power, even now, even sitting here saying that now, I'm like, dude, who are you, bro? You've never said something like that.
I know,
it's weird, but I'm gonna do it.
And it's gonna help.
Yeah, I know.
That's the wild thing.
So wild, dude.
It's gonna help.
So wild.
All right, bro. Well, I love you.
Love you too.
Let me know how tonight goes. That's gonna be cool.
Oh,
be powerful.
I hope so. I think it's gonna be awesome. But I am going to the Kendrick concert tomorrow too. That's something to look forward to.
Hey,
that's gonna be lit.
That is
going with some of my boys. Yeah, I'm hyped for that.
Hell yeah.
I'm hyped for
All right,
that.
bro.
All right. Well, we will keep coming back.
Yeah, everyone keep coming back. Thank you for listening. Shout out Steve-O again. God bless.
Thank you, Steve-O.